Deterrence is not a slogan, it is an equation. For Manila, the BrahMos coastal defense system is the first serious attempt to change that equation in the West Philippine Sea by imposing hard, immediate costs on any hostile surface force operating near Philippine waters. In January 2022, the Philippines signed a roughly $375 million deal for 3 shore-based batteries. The first consignment arrived in April 2024. The second followed in April 2025, moving the capability from a PowerPoint promise to deployable units. What exactly is on the table? The export BrahMos is a ramjet-powered sea-skimming cruise missile with a published range of about 290 to 300 kilometers and a top speed near Mach 2.8. Against ships relying on layered defenses tuned to subsonic threats, the combination of speed, terminal maneuvers, and a sizable warhead makes interception non-trivial, especially when fired in salvos. This is not a magic bullet. It is, however, a weapon that converts geography into leverage. Geography is the point. Construction of the first BrahMos base on western Luzon faces directly toward Scarborough Shoal, roughly 250 kilometers away. From that coastline, BrahMos arcs contest the PLA Navy's routine presence in a zone that Beijing has treated as a quasi-sanctuary since 2012. If the Philippines adds mobile deployments along Palawan's spine, those arcs overlap toward the Spratlys, push batteries north, and the Luzon Strait and Bashi Channel become contested transit corridors rather than safe lanes. Deterrence works when an adversary's simple plan becomes a complicated one. But missiles don't hit what they can't find. The decisive variable is the sensor-to-shooter chain. Coastal and airborne radar, maritime patrol aircraft, UAVs, and allied ISR, all feeding reliable targeting into a resilient C2 network. Here, the picture is improving. Japan has delivered a mobile air surveillance radar to the Philippine Air Force, enhancing the national air picture. While an air radar isn't a maritime fire control sensor, it strengthens the overall tactical picture and cueing. The United States, for its part, has exercised NMESIS, Naval Strike Missile, in Batanes and northern Luzon, rehearsing a distributed kill web with Philippine units. The more Manila can plug BrahMos into that web, the more it becomes a real veto on hostile movement, rather than a ceremonial flag. Run the scenarios. In the gray zone, where cutters shadow resupply runs and water cannons dominate headlines, BrahMos is a background factor, rarely brandished, never fired. Yet it matters. A patrol boat screen is different when a nearby shoreline can generate anti-ship salvos within minutes. Commanders who previously assumed sanctuary will reconsider distance and formation, which dilutes coercive presence even if no shot is fired. In a limited naval clash, say an attempt to intimidate or interdict a Philippine Navy or Coast Guard convoy near a disputed feature, the calculus shifts further. Mobile, dispersed BrahMos launchers, fed with time-sensitive targeting from drones or allied ISR, can generate quick reaction fires into a constrained sea space. Here, salvo density and timing are everything. A handful of missiles will not break a layered escort screen. A coordinated volley from multiple batteries, synchronized with air or allied fires, can. The virtue of coastal missiles is the defender's ability to choose the fight's geometry. In a wider blockade or escalation, the system becomes a node in a coalition kill chain. U.S. Marines rehearsing NMESIS in the Luzon Strait, U.S. Army Typhon and Allied Aviation, and Philippine BrahMos present a distributed, multi-axis threat surface that complicates PLA Navy routing and timing. Deterrence here is cumulative. Each independent vector adds friction to a planned commander's schedule and raises the risk that a limited action turns attritional. So is BrahMos a real deterrent yet? It is on the cusp. 3 batteries provide coverage and options, but magazine depth and reload logistics will cap sustained effects. The units are also ISR hungry. Without persistent maritime targeting, a supersonic missile is just an expensive promise. Survivability matters too. A smart opponent will prioritize ISR and strike against fixed sites and predictable deployment areas. Manila's answer must be mobility, camouflage, deception, and rapid displacement drills, paired with decoys and emissions control. If a platoon can go cold, move, and be ready to shoot in a fresh hide within hours, the adversary's kill chain stretches and its certainty collapses. The technical edge is not static. As the Philippines beds down the initial batteries, 2 pathways turn symbolism into hard deterrence. First, integrate relentlessly. Fuse Japanese-made radar feeds, Coast Guard surface pictures, commercial AIS, and allied ISR into a common operational picture that BrahMos crews actually trust. Second, exercise joint fires that matter. Timed strikes with NMESIS and air-delivered weapons against realistic naval profiles, including electronic attack and decoy targets. The goal isn't a parade shot. It's proving the timing, communications discipline, and procedural muscle memory under jamming and smoke. There is also the politics of procurement. The April 2024 and April 2025 deliveries show the program is real and moving. But deterrence is about what the adversary thinks you can do tomorrow, not what you received yesterday. That argues for steady follow-on buys of missiles, training munitions for live fire, and a local sustainment chain, spares on Philippine soil, trained maintainers, and a predictable resupply rhythm from India. If Manila signals that a spent launcher is a temporarily empty magazine rather than a dead battery, deterrence persists beyond the first engagement. There is also an industrial and political dimension that shapes the credibility of BrahMos. Sustainment is not only about spare parts, but also about whether Philippine industry can gradually absorb maintenance and testing. India has shown willingness to localize components, and Manila could leverage this by building a limited domestic support base. That matters because deterrence is not only measured on delivery day, but on the day after the first live fire, when a battery must be reloaded, serviced, and redeployed. Regional parallels underline the point. Vietnam has invested heavily in local maintenance of Russian-built Bastion P systems to ensure availability. Indonesia has worked with European suppliers to secure in-country overhaul rights for its anti-ship missiles. If the Philippines follows a similar path, incremental but deliberate, BrahMos shifts from being a high-profile import to a durable instrument of sovereignty. That is how symbolism translates into long-term strategic leverage. The verdict is sober. Today, BrahMos is more than a symbol. It is a credible, if boutique, tool that reshapes PLA Navy risk around key Philippine waters. Tomorrow, with deeper magazines, tighter ISR integration, and coalition rehearsal, it becomes a true area denial backbone. Deterrence is an equation. Manila is finally putting numbers on the board. If you find this analysis valuable and want more data-driven breakdowns on Philippine defense, consider subscribing and sharing. Your support lets us keep turning complex procurement into clear strategy for the region.